Tonight, something that doesn't happen too often at KSDK. A social post about one of our newscast segments has gone viral and has gained the attention of news outlets like NBC News, CNN, Newsweek, and the Washington Post.
It's a viral moment that has united people across the world.
Turned a racist rant that was hurled at her into a global phenomenon.
The caller criticized Lee for being very Asian.
She can keep her Korean to herself.
She said that if a white person went on air to talk about what white people eat for New Year's, they'd be fired. I feel like white people do that every single day, all the time.
But you said it was a gift, and I love that you said that.
All these people started sharing their pictures of their families, their traditions, their food.
Hi everybody, Senator Tammy Duckworth here in the United States Capitol, being very Asian, eating one of my favorite Thai candies, Krajiam Gao.
You're turning this into a teaching moment.
I think you're a great example of that change.
And feel inspired to speak out.
You're turning this experience into a fundraiser.
We sold 3,000 shirts in 7 days to raise money for the Asian American Journalists Association.
This caught the attention of The Ellen Show.
They want to give you a check for $15,000.
And they even presented a gift that provided the seed money for the Very Asian Foundation.
And is doing the work to really lift up these kind of experiences.
And this weekend, the Missouri Asian American Youth Foundation and the Very Asian Foundation got together to host a Gold Open. We launched the May Book Project this year to help solve a problem for Asian American students who felt ignored in their schools when they asked for more Asian American literature during the month of May, our Heritage Month. We convened a group of scholars, librarians, authors, educators, and nonprofits to create a vetted, high-quality, free list of books from picture books to adult crossover to give libraries more resources to buy Asian American literature. And we've also been raising money to get books to at-need libraries at no cost to them.
Many students say they are excited to read books that include characters who look like them.
It's pretty nice.
To see their faces when they see themselves in a book is worth about $1 million.
We're so honored and thrilled to be sharing this film with you today. Our very first screening in Missouri. We want to thank the Very Asian Foundation.
Cardinals also recognizing the Very Asian Foundation. It was part of their Pitching In program, which recognizes those who are making a difference right here.
It's through my journalism internship at the Very Asian Foundation that I've been able to tell the stories of the underappreciated Asian American creators.
I also wrote my own book this year, which it was kind of silly because I didn't know I could do that. But this is a Very Asian guide to Korean food. I just did it because I felt like we need more representation that is meaningful to us. I, used to think that maybe my story wasn't worthy or maybe it wasn't common enough. But then someone reminded me that there are literally millions of us waiting for our stories to be told.
Mayor Tashara Jones signed a proclamation to support the Very Asian Foundation and its mission to fight racism.
The city of St. Louis's first Asian American alderman, Brett Narayan, says the entire board of aldermen signed a resolution and Mayor Tashara Jones signed a proclamation to make January 19th Very Asian Day in support of the entire Asian community that makes St. Louis what it is today.
I think supporting initiatives like this is the best thing to do for virtually every community.
Well, January 19th is now Very Asian Day in St. Louis. The foundation hopes to spread this movement and support for it to other cities across the country.
We are about to launch the Very Asian Foundation's Creators Grant.
However you celebrate in St. Louis, we want to wish you a Happy New Year from all of us at 5 on Your Side.
Michelle's impact inside our newsroom and in the community just continues to grow.
But most of all, you have shown me that it's okay to be me. And I sit there and I marvel at what you do. I marvel at how you take control and are making things happen. There's going to be change, and it's going to be change because of you. Not just for people recognizing Very Asian, but also people recognizing that what we do on a day-to-day basis in the morning matters.
Grains actually symbolize wealth. We can guess why. Black-eyed peas represent coins, luck, or the promise of prosperity. Cornbread is for gold, and eating it brings the hope of extra spending money in the new year. And then pork signifies prosperity and progress because, get this, pigs root ahead as they eat as opposed to backwards like chickens or those turkeys. I ate dumpling soup. That's what a lot of Korean people do. All right, it is New Year's, which means...
Hi, this evening your Asian anchor mentioned something about being Asian and Asian people eat dumplings on New Year's Day, and kind of take offense to that, because what if one of your white anchors said, well, white people eat this on New Year's Day? I don't think it was appropriate that she said that, and she was being very Asian, and I don't know. She can keep her Korean to herself. All right, sorry, it was annoying. Because if a white person would say that, they would get fired. So say something about what white people eat. So, all right, thank you.
Tonight, something that doesn't happen too often at KSDK. A social post about one of our newscast segments has gone viral and has gained the attention of news outlets like NBC News, CNN, Newsweek, and the Washington Post.
The reason? It's opening the conversation about race and cultural representation. It all started on New Year's Day when our Michelle Lee read a story about traditional American dishes eaten on the holiday.
We've got a list of what's included in a traditional first day of the year meal, and these foods are said to bring good health, wealth, and luck. Grains actually symbolize wealth. We can guess why. I ate dumpling soup. That's what a lot of Korean people do.
So after that newscast on Saturday, our newsroom received a call from a viewer who took offense to Michelle's comments right there about her Korean tradition.
So Michelle shared that voicemail on social media, and the response has been overwhelming. Tonight, her post has been retweeted nearly 14,000 times, and she has gotten supportive messages from colleagues, viewers, and people from around the world. The hashtag #VeryAsian is also trending. Here's Michelle.
You post things thinking it's just going to reach your circle of friends, but then something like this happens. That call was ugly. It was racist. We're not going to replay it, but in a message, a woman said she was offended because I mentioned I ate dumplings on New Year's. It came after I had read what Americans eat for New Year's and why, including black-eyed peas for luck and pork for progress. That story was less than 30 seconds long, and I added one line of banter that I ate dumpling soup because a lot of Korean people do. I immediately had comments on social media thanking me because young people see that. One man wrote he liked the shout out because his wife was born in Korea and their daughter was making the soup for the very first time. So it was subtle but inclusive, as if to say, hey, I see you in the back. So I was shocked to hear a woman say she was offended because I didn't talk about what white people eat, though I literally just did. She complained that I was very Asian and suggested I keep my Korean to myself. I won't lie, it hurt, and I cried. I posted her voicemail and went to bed feeling down. That night, my husband gave me a really big, long hug because he knows that 42 years in this body has absorbed 42 years of racism, discrimination, and at times, actual violence. And to think some people lose their lives simply because a racist is annoyed that they exist. I have hated myself, and I have made myself small for others. But I decided to be better for my mixed-race son, who will have his own experiences, but will need my guidance for how the world might see him. My parents are white. My husband is white. I grew up in Missouri. I met my Korean family in 1998. I even helped my sister immigrate to the United States. I have done a lot of hard work to get to know who I am. I am an American. I am Asian. My friends eating noodles for longevity or dumplings for prosperity are also American. And Americans get to define America. And a lot of people feel the same way, millions apparently. The hashtag #VeryAsian has been trending globally. Celebrities, chefs, and politicians are throwing support behind what could become a new movement. So while that call was wrong and ugly, I see it as a gift. I don't know that woman's name, only her voice. but I welcome her to a real conversation about humanity and kindness. It is time to let go of old thinking and celebrate who we really are.
And Michelle, our management has released this statement, which reads in part, KSDK fully supports our excellent award-winning anchor and reporter, Michelle Lee. At KSDK, we embrace diversity in the people we hire, the stories we tell, and our local community. We will continue supporting Michelle and celebrating diversity and inclusion.
And Michelle, I just want to commend you, first of all, for your bravery and your humility and your grace. It could not have been easy to talk about all of that on the air in front of so many people. And I actually heard you, overheard you in the newsroom today. You called that number back, that woman back. You don't know her name. And I heard you leave a voicemail saying, you know, no shaming. I just really want to talk to you. And so maybe she's watching right now. What would you want her to know?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question, and I was trying to think of an answer for it, but I think I would want to know if she's okay. I would want to know what happened to her that made her feel like those words were okay, and I would listen to her. I would want to speak with her face to face and ask her what she's got against dumplings. I mean, seriously, you know, I'm not here to make everyone an anti-racist or something, but I do really believe in this community, and we are in Missouri, we're in St. Louis, we're in the Midwest, where everyone is so nice. And so that niceness should be genuine. And I just feel like what made those words to her so important that she needed to say that, because words matter.
Well, the one thing we know is this became very powerful. There's a quote that says, not engaging in ignorance is wisdom, and the way you handled it was brilliant. And then what you saw was the response. How powerful was that response to you?
I don't know if I'll really fully understand that. I just can't conceptualize what just happened. You know, I went to bed feeling so horrible on Saturday night, and then Sunday, my phone was just pinging, 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 you know, constantly.
Right.
So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, Michelle, thank you for your honesty. And I know it's been a whirlwind for you, but thank you for sharing it with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We've seen an outpouring of support after a racist voicemail came into the KSDK newsroom.
We also have an update for you. Tonight, the woman who called in to complain that our Michelle Lee was very Asian and needed to keep her Korean to herself has a few words she'd like to share. So, Michelle, what did she say?
Well, guys, she said a lot of things, but the most important thing is sorry. She said she's not a racist and she never meant to hurt me or anybody, and I accepted that apology. But when I asked her questions about why she said what she said, it started to get confusing. And also she said things that honestly prove that an apology dealing with race and ethnicity can be complex. But it is time to move on, and I am not mad at her. But there are a lot of people out there who say they want to learn more about being anti-racist or just being a good friend. And a local expert on race and diversity says there is a way to start.
You know, the first thing is to do some research yourself, right? And or pay a trainer or organization to do it, because it is unpaid labor, right? There were some folks, I think, in your thread talking about, well, what's wrong with the O word? And, you know, some white allies were like, okay, how about you do some research?
Well, that was Caroline Fan with the Missouri Asian American Youth Foundation. She helps a lot of young people who need support in St. Louis. So, you know, I understand what Caroline is saying, but if you are asking me a question about race, I will be happy to answer your questions. And really, from here on out, I hope we can make something positive out of this very Asian, very St. Louis experience.
And you're doing something positive. You're turning this experience into a fundraiser, a T-shirt fundraiser.
Oh, I'm so excited about this, Mike, because what we're doing is raising money for the Asian American Journalists Association. If you buy a T-shirt, and it's such a great organization, one that's helped me personally, but a lot of AAPI journalists across the world, and also it's just a really great group that helps a lot of coverage in our country as well.
And Michelle, it's been 5 days since this happened. You have been inundated with responses from people, media requests from all over the world. So just how are you holding up? I'm sure it's been a whirlwind. And if you had to say there was one thing you learned, I'm sure that's not going to be easy. What is it?
Oh my goodness. You know, I'm not even sure I'm making sense at this point because I've had so little sleep, but I feel like I don't want it to end. You know, I mean, I want it to end in a lot of ways, but I don't want it to end. I think for me, what really resonated is that a lot of people related to it, not just Asian people, but people who just feel like we should be able to bring our full humanity to the table and be proud and confident on who we are. So I think that's what resonated with me, and that's what also makes me just see how special everyone in St. Louis is.
Yeah, the outpouring of support has been powerful. Yeah. Michelle, thank you.
Thank you.
Want to see more inspiration? Text the word Very Asian to 314-425-5355. It's important to note that Very Asian is one word. Do not use a space. And we'll also send you more information on those t-shirts.
Well, a nationwide effort to build more inclusive libraries is kicking off in St. Louis. Emerson Electric is donating about 250 books to area schools, starting with Warner Elementary. It is the result of the May Book Project, which was inspired by local high schoolers who wanted to see more Asian American youth literature in schools but were ignored. National scholars, educators, and librarians stepped up to create a free resource, including vetted books and an academic guide. Many students say they are excited to read books that include characters who look like them.
It makes me pretty inspired how people write what they're like experiencing and how they are like dealing with it and stuff. It's pretty nice.
To see their faces when they see themselves in a book is worth about $1 million. I mean, it is just amazing.
So the librarian there, Susan Dooling, originally thought that the books were just going to go to the kids to take home, and when she found out they were for the library, she nearly started crying because she said the donation will make such a lasting impact. The May Book Project is about celebration and choice and was launched by the Very Asian Foundation, which is, in full disclosure, a nonprofit that I started after going viral for responding to a racist voicemail. But with 200 plus books, a lot of schools can choose what works for them. In the meantime, all right, well, check this out. The new breakthrough film, Easter Sunday, is making a really big impact for families in St. Louis and really around the country. The movie stars stand-up comedian Joe Coy, who stars as a comedian on the verge of getting his own sitcom. And if you remember, Monica just interviewed him on his historic film as it features an all-Filipino lead cast. So Coy is also Filipino-American. And these are pictures from an event that happened this weekend. Community groups are buying out entire theaters as part of a Gold Open event, just trying to show Hollywood that representation matters. And this weekend, the Missouri Asian American Youth Foundation and the Very Asian Foundation got together to host a Gold Open in DePere. I mean, it just goes to show you people like seeing themselves or a representation of themselves on screen, and there's room for everybody. You
As
know,
they say,
it really
you can't
is.
be it until you see it.
Yeah.
And so once you see it, you go, what? I'm gonna try acting too. And you saw the movie, right?
I saw the movie. I loved it. It was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
You give it a
and
thumbs up?
Monica, it was after
wanna go check it
Monica's
out.
story aired, actually.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Joe Coy. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
The Cardinals also recognizing the Very Asian Foundation. 5 on Your Side's own Michelle Lee is the organizer. It was part of their Pitching In program, which recognizes those who are making a difference right here in our community.
The community is rallying behind a new documentary about racial injustice in the first of its kind screening right here in Missouri. That film is called Free Chol-Soo Lee. It is the true story of a Korean immigrant who was wrongfully convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison in the 1970s. It actually sparked a national Pan-Asian movement, but today that history is largely unknown. The directors of the film say St. Louisans can relate because some of the things that were said about Chol-Soo Lee in San Francisco's Chinatown back then echo what the nation heard about Michael Brown in Ferguson.
And to seek out common cause with other communities in ways that can be constructive for society. And I think particularly in St. Louis, in Ferguson, which was the epicenter of so much of what has led to today, there's just a deep connection with our film and our story.
injustice in history.
Two St. Louis-based nonprofits, the Gateway Korea Foundation and the Very Asian Foundation, are bringing the film to Webster University. So you can catch it tonight at 6 p.m. at Webster's Winfred Moore Auditorium. After the film, there's going to be a panel discussion with journalists and attorneys, including St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell and the founder of the Missouri Wrongful Conviction Project, Megan Crane. That event is free and it is also open to the public.
Hey everyone, and welcome to TAF Talks. We are looking at the status index of American attitudes toward Asian Americans, and this is such an important report. My name is Michelle Lee. I'm going to be the moderator of this stellar panel today. I'm a journalist based in St. Louis, have been a journalist for 20 years, and I'm also the co-founder of the Very Asian Foundation, which has been such an exciting part of my 2022. So I hope we have, a robust conversation. We bring awareness to a really important subject and also leave people with bright spots as well. If you wouldn't mind just going around and introducing yourself, because you are all rock stars, and I don't want to get anything wrong, but you're all professors and wonderful people. So if you wouldn't mind, can we just introduce ourselves?
My name is Paul Watanabe. I'm a professor of political science at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. And I had the distinct pleasure of being the chair of a board of academic advisors for this project, really a blue ribbon group. And I want to welcome Erica and Russell and Jennifer as a representative of this larger group of individuals who helped us on this project.
I'll go next. My name is Erica Lee, and I teach history and Asian American studies at the University of Minnesota. I also direct the Immigration History Research Center here, and I'm president of the Organization of American Historians. I'm so glad to be part of this conversation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Professor Russell Jung from San Francisco State's Asian American Studies program. I'm also co-founder of Stop AAPI Hate, and I'd like to thank Michelle and the Asian American Foundation for this great event.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer Lee. I'm a sociologist at Columbia University and also a senior researcher at AAPI Data. I am thrilled to be part of this project and part of this conversation with, as Paul Watanabe said, a blue ribbon group of scholars and researchers who are really committed to advancing narratives with data about Asian American experiences and histories, especially in the wake of COVID-19.
Remember, we're rock stars, according to Michelle.
It's true. You are totally rock stars. It is intimidating to be on this panel with you because you are really, truly the best of the best. So I appreciate your time. Before we delve into, before we get into the weeds here, I do want to ask just a basic question. What did you think was surprising about the status index? For me, I think it's always really interesting to see this, this stat that when asked to name a prominent Asian American, most people can't do it, or they name Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, or Lucy Liu. I mean, to me, that is just incredible. But I'm wondering what stuck out to you.
I'm going to follow up on that, Michelle, because I think one of the things that stuck out with me is that not only that the majority of Americans cannot name a single Asian American, a single prominent Asian American, given that Kamala Harris is our vice president who is Asian American, but that also 42% of Americans cannot think of a single policy or historical event related to Asian Americans. And one of these things, both of those statistics underscore is that Asian Americans are absent from the imagination of most Americans. And it's easy to point the blame on particular Americans. But when I saw those results, one of the things I thought about is, had I not learned about Asian American history, Asian American experiences on my own, would I have done better on those kinds of challenges? And what I realized is that something that actually Erica Lee has been very vocal about, that Asian American history is not taught in our curricula. So if we are not presenting Asian American history and narratives in our curricula, can we really be surprised that most Americans cannot name a single prominent Asian American? Most Asian Americans cannot think of particular policies or histories related to Asian Americans.
Right, exactly, Jennifer. And you know what I was even thinking is some people don't even know someone is a prominent Asian American. You know, like I think of like how do people not know Bruno Mars, you know, or like they just don't think about people who are Asian American. What about everyone else in the group? What was another thing that surprised you about the status index?
Let me just follow up on the history question. And on the one hand, of course, the results are just horribly depressing. 42% of Americans cannot name an Asian American example or person or significant event from American history. At the same time, the statistics are incredibly revealing as well, because when you dive deep into the data, and we have asked respondents, we've given them a little bit of nudge in terms of, you know, well, what about this event or what about this? When prompted, the respondents have identified historical events that are part of Asian history, not American history, that are predominantly related to US-Asian wars, and that for the majority also focus on culture, you know, so cultural events like Chinese New Year, et cetera, as part of Asian American history. So what this means is that we are doing such an incredibly poor job at teaching the totality of American history, and that Asian Americans continue to be seen as Asian, as part of Asia, as part of Asian history, rather than American history. And this has really dire consequences that I'm sure we'll get to talk about in the later conversation. But these statistics are just, they compound what many of us who teach for a living already see in our classrooms. And it's really quite troubling.
Tonight, the first official Very Asian Day in the city of St. Louis is wrapping up. Mayor Tashara Jones signed a proclamation to support the Very Asian Foundation and its mission to fight racism. The foundation was started by our very own Michelle Lee after she received a hateful voicemail from a viewer. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski takes us to tonight's celebration.
The Very Asian Foundation all started with a racist voicemail 5 on Your Side anchor Michelle Lee received. It said, among other things, she was, quote, very Asian and to keep her Korean to herself.
I still believe that voicemail was a gift, because look what it did.
Lee says it sparked worldwide change that is making a difference.
It's not about excluding anyone. It's not about making a big deal even about what we look like. It's just about being able to be happy and have joy about who you are, and really the community that we build together.
The city of St. Louis's first Asian American alderman, Brett Narayan, says the entire board of aldermen signed a resolution, and Mayor Tashara Jones signed a proclamation to make January 19th Very Asian Day in support of the entire Asian community that makes St. Louis what it is today.
I think supporting initiatives like this is the best thing to do for virtually every community. Lots of communities kind of self-appoint leaders among the community, and I think it's important for the halls of government to hear those voices and to amplify them.
While January 19th is now Very Asian Day in St. Louis, the foundation hopes to spread this movement and support for it to other cities across the country.
We are about to launch the Very Asian Foundation's Creators Grant, which what we want to do is be able to be a launch pad for API creators, just want to be able to tell their stories, especially as they shift to a career in what they're passionate about. So that's something that we are launching this year. We are still working on the May Book campaign, which is a national awareness campaign on how to build and maintain diverse libraries. As we know, youth need to see themselves reflected in books.
Reporting in St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
If you'd like to donate to the Very Asian Foundation, go to the As Seen on TV section at KSDK.com.